Dune 2 is still in theaters. Is it officially Dune 2 or Dune Part 2?
It's Dune Part 2.
Part 2. Whatever. I'm still going to call it Dune 2.
Like The Godfather.
So Dune Part 2 is still in theaters. It's already crossed the $600 million mark. We'll see how close it gets to $700 million. To me, probably the best movie I've seen in the last decade. I'm not everybody agrees with that. That's cool. I'm just saying for me personally, probably the best film I've seen in a decade. I absolutely adore this film. But I've been a little bit worried about if they do a Dune 3. Because if they do Dune 3 and they base it on Dune Messiah, I have some concerns.
I hope they call it Dune Messiah.
I kind of hope they don't.
So I want them to so bad.
And there are a lot.
That's the book.
You're not alone. A lot of people do because that is the name of the book. At any rate, though, take any of the doubts out. It's now official. It's happening. Dune 3 is a go, and Legendary has signed up Denis Villeneuve to return to the world of Arrakis. This comes to us from the folks over at The Verge who wrote the following. Variety reports that following the massive box office success of Dune Part 2, Legendary has tapped Denis Villeneuve for a third installment that would presumably continue the story of how Paul Atreides goes on to conquer the galaxy. Earlier this year, Villeneuve told Empire that he had already put words on paper thinking about where he would like to take the Dune franchise going forward. Now, they've got another film they're doing with him after that because it goes on to say this. Legendary has yet to announce any sort of timeline for when the production of Dune 3 might begin, but the studio intends for the movie to debut before its next project with Denis Villeneuve, an adaptation of Nuclear War, a Scenario. Annie Jacobson's 2024 Pulitzer Prize-nominated nonfiction book about how nuclear war scenarios would likely play out. So they've already got this movie lined up with Denis. This nuclear war movie, which, by the way, how disturbing is that movie going to be? So they've already got this movie lined up, but they're saying we want to do Dune 3 first. Okay, I have questions. First thing to me is, well, then how quickly you're going to get moving on Dune 3? Hopefully you get moving more quickly on it than how fast they got moving on Dune 2. So that's one thing I'm hoping. So it's probably going to be sooner rather than later if they've already got another film they want to do with them, but they got to get this one done first. The next question I have, is he going to take a lot of liberties with the Dune Messiah story? I certainly hope so. Because, Rob, out of the 23 Dune books...
Well, there's only 6 Frank Herbert Dune books.
Right, but they're like 20
There's a lot, but I don't consider those
in the thing. I've only read 2. I've read Dune, and I've read Dune Messiah. Dune Messiah, to me, is not nearly as good as Dune. Actually,
it's different.
It's very different. And as you go on in the books, they decline in quality and they get more and more psychedelic. Like They get more and more.
They get real weird.
Wacky.
Although God Emperor is a banger.
The God Emperor of Dune with like the 5,000-year-old Paul Atreides son who's half man, half worm.
Leto the Second. Yeah. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Wild stuff, as Johnny Carson used to say.
Wild stuff.
People are like, Johnny who?
Yeah, Johnny. Yeah, Johnny what?
Who's Johnny Carson?
So here's my concern, and I really think there's a lot of very fan-unfriendly things that happen in Dune Messiah that I don't know that the audience is going to be there for.
That's a woeful understatement.
That's a huge understatement.
But at the same time, like, that's the whole purpose of the story.
Yeah, it is.
So
it is.
To then suddenly be like, none of this happened, only good things happen is like...
But, we saw how many liberties Denis took with the first 2 Dune films. So my kind of hope is that by signing up to do the third one and that he's already put some ideas down, I'm hoping, honestly, and I know this is an unpopular thing to say, and I wouldn't normally say this about franchises, I kind of hope he just makes up his own third movie. I really kind of do, because I don't know that I want Dune Messiah to
I don't know,
exist.
John. It could be the feel-good romance of 2026.
That no was like a parent telling his kid not to touch a hot stove.
Yeah. I'm like...
I don't know.
61 billion people dead.
But now, Rob, you are far more acclimated with all the Herbert versions of the novels and stuff like that. Number one, what do you think about Denis signing up? It's now official. He'll be the one to do Dune 3. How close to Dune Messiah do you think he'll make it? Or do you think he'll go in his own directions? Or will he make it a mixture of both? And how quickly do you think we could actually see Dune 3 this time?
Well, it's interesting because when I first heard this project happening in the first place, it was told to me that the movie was going to be Dune, Dune Prophet, and Dune Messiah. And they were going to do a trilogy. That's how it was pitched when I first heard this. I'm like, that's interesting. That Denis Villeneuve. I think I heard about this when Arrival was being made. I'm like, are they really going to do that? But it looks like they are. So, and obviously Dune Messiah, the end of it's not the entire end of Paul Atreides' story, but the end of Paul Atreides' story in that iteration. So I do think that's going to be, it is going to wind up the story of this revolution. What has begun in Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2. And finally people will shut up about their white savior myth. This is just another no, it's not. It doesn't end that way at all. Please read the books. They're there. It's not a spoiler. But I think they might make some changes. Like, I really prefer what he's done with Chani at the end. You know, how she left.
I did too. I preferred what he did with Chani at the end, which is a big departure from the book.
Yeah.
I prefer how he handled Paul's sister at the end, which is a huge departure from the book.
But it makes, I mean, I think that's what a good adaptation is. And, you know, there's that great line when right now, when Jessica says at the end in the book, she says to Chani, you know, right now they call us concubines, but history will call us wives. And that's how the book ends, which I thought was really interesting. I love that ending. But I also think that in doing an adaptation, having Zendaya's character be a sycophantic supporter of Paul Atreides, I don't think would play today. I think that was a really good choice in making an adaptation. You show that she's a strong woman. That's why Paul is attracted to her in the first place. And you keep her a strong woman. If she was just going to be like, oh, Paul, I love you, take over the galaxy, it wouldn't work as...
That's my wife, by the way. So
it wouldn't work as well.
Atreides,
I like
me.
what they've done. And people get all upset. No, I think that moving forward, the fact that there's that frisson between the two of them, and the same thing was true of adding the fundamentalist sect of the Fremen in the movie as well. That Paul had to go make that great speech and convince that the Fremen were not all of a piece, because we certainly on this planet, no one believes the same thing. You go to a different country and there's people with different beliefs and different levels of things, and it made it more realistic, and I like that. So I think he will make changes in the story, John, but it ain't going to be something like The Notebook where it's the great romance of your time. Not going to be like that.
Yeah, it's definitely not. So we'll see. Guys, we want to take a moment and thank a sponsor of today's video, Mint Mobile. After years of fine print contracts and getting ripped off by overpriced wireless providers, if we've learned anything, is that there's always a catch. So when I heard that for a limited time, all Mint Mobile wireless plans are $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, I thought, what's the catch? But after talking to them, it all made sense. There isn't one. Mint Mobile's secret sauce is that they sell wireless services online. They cut out the cost of retail stores and pass those sweet savings on to you. And guys, you know, ever since I switched over to Mint Mobile, I am spending less than 1/3 on my wireless bills than I used to with one of the major carriers. So say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with your existing contacts. So guys, to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions may apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Question is for you guys. What do you think? I am excited that Denis returning. I just hope he takes a lot of liberties with the next story. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. What do you guys think? Jump into the comments below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.